rate and review Marijuana Today Daily on iTunes. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Tuesday, January 16th, 2018, and you're tuned in to episode 410 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. Our top story of the day brings us up north to Canada, where details have just been announced of a huge acquisition of one licensed medical marijuana provider by another. Aphria Inc. is paying $10 million Canadian in cash and $220 million Canadian in stock to buy 100% of licensed cultivator Broken Coast Cannabis, a company headquartered in British Columbia. Aphria is one of the nation's larger cannabis companies and has been on a bit of an acquisition tear of late. According to a press release announcing the deal, adding Broken Coast to their portfolio of companies will boost Aphria's cultivation capabilities by tens of thousands of pounds annually. Swing over to New Cannabis Ventures for all the details on this one. And again, pay attention to what's going on in Canada. Mass Live is reporting that Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren is working on plans to introduce legislation protecting states' rights in the realm of cannabis legalization. Yesterday, Senator Warren told reporters, quote, "I'm working with a bipartisan group to try to roll back the changes that the Attorney General has made so that the states can make their own determination about their marijuana laws and how they want to enforce them," unquote. Yesterday, I reported on a couple of efforts in the House to legislatively protect state legal marijuana, but this is the first we've heard coming out of the Senate since the rescinding of the Cole memo. A spokesperson for Senator Warren said that more information on legislation will be available in coming weeks, so we'll keep an eye on this one. Our final top story of the day is a longer form piece in the Washington Post highlighting the career and accomplishments of one Taylor Wayneth, a 24-year-old former Trump campaign volunteer who's managed to ascend to the post of Deputy Chief of Staff in the Office of National Drug Control Policy, or ONDCP, the White House office in charge of, among other things, responding to the ongoing opioid crisis, which is currently responsible for killing more than 175 Americans each and every day. As part of a series in which they examine the resumes of Trump political appointees filling incredibly important positions within the government, the Washington Post turned their eyes upon Mr. Wayneth, whose main accomplishments 2 years out of college seems to be his loyalty to President Trump and the simple fact that he stuck around as other, more competent people resigned. There's also some question about the veracity of Mr. Wayneth's resume, but given who his boss is, I'd almost be surprised if he didn't lie about his accomplishments. This is a great one to click over for the full read. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out on headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, MJ Today Media, publishers of this podcast, our weekly show, Marijuana Today, and our popular email newsletter, the MJ Today Media Newsfeed. We're keeping today's spot to talk about the assistant editor that we need to hire. This position is very part-time and very low paying, but comes chock-a-block full of opportunities to learn more about marijuana media and the industry at large. Our assistant editors help filter the news each day to find all the relevant headlines for packaging up into the newsfeed email newsletter. If you have a nose for news, love this crazy industry of ours, and have the time and interest to become our new assistant editor, zip me an email to shay@mjtodaydaily.com, which is spelled SHEA, shay@mjtodaydaily.com. All right, time for the blitz. State lawmakers in Maryland began work yesterday to find a solution to the problem of minority underrepresentation within the class of licensed marijuana business owners. Regular listeners should remember how much the states struggled over the past year or so to smoothly roll out a medical marijuana program, with one of the main criticisms being raised over how Maryland officials ignored race when they originally handed out cannabis business licenses, even though the medical marijuana law passed by voters called for them to do so. Yesterday, the state's General Assembly began discussing how to add 5 more cultivation licenses to the 10 already sanctioned, as well as a proposed 10-year protective bubble for those already licensed to grow. This is a big issue, so I'd suggest opening up the Baltimore Sun for the full read. This year's legislative session in New Jersey may have just begun, but the state already has not one, but 2 proposed bills to legalize adult use marijuana. Assemblyman Reed Guscoria just announced a bill he will introduce by the end of the month to set up a taxed and regulated legal adult use system. Assemblyman Gusciora's bill joins one introduced last week by State Senator Nicholas Scutari, a well-known advocate for legalization. It's another issue we'll obviously keep tracking closely. Late last week, the Pennsylvania Department of Health was ordered to release more of the information it has about the organizations which applied for one of the state's medical marijuana cultivation and dispensing licenses. The department made public over the summer the names of the 39 applicant organizations, but on Thursday, the Pennsylvania Office of Open Records ruled that they must also reveal more about the people associated with the applications. A spokeswoman with the Department of Health said they were reviewing their options as they have 30 days with which to either appeal or comply with the ruling. The city of Los Angeles issued its first business licenses for marijuana dispensing on Friday when it gave the official nod to Mother's Nature's Remedy Caregivers and the WHTC dispensaries. Click over to the LA Weekly's story for all the details on this one. Marijuana Business Daily's chart of the week takes a look at Pennsylvania's soon-to-launch medical marijuana program and rightly places it as one of the larger in the nation, with a potential patient population measured in the hundreds of thousands. As with all of their charts of the week, Marijuana Business Daily does a nice job of providing some additional information and context. Licensed Canadian medical marijuana giant Aphria, who led off today's show with their massive $230 million acquisition, picks up another headline for a smaller deal that nonetheless has larger implications. The company just announced that it's paying $2.5 million Canadian to buy a 25% stake in the Australian marijuana company Aphria. Open up new cannabis ventures if you want to dive into all the details, but the big takeaway here is the international expansion by Canadian marijuana companies, who are operating with a virtual blue ocean of overseas opportunities blocked from American firms. And finally for today, we have news out of Colorado that Mass Roots, a marijuana social media network / compliance software developer / concierge service / strain catalog / blockchain something or other, has been formally evicted from its Denver offices. Mass Roots, of course, has been all over the headlines in recent months for the very public battle waged by its founder Isaac Dietrich and its now former board members and executives over control of the company. Alicia Wallace over at the Cannabis is reporting that last week, a U.S. District Court judge ruled in favor of Mass Roots' landlord, who the company reportedly owes just under $40,000 to. Alicia is also reporting that no one from Mass Roots showed up at the eviction hearing, that Mr. Dietrich is unavailable for comments, and that calls to the company's main phone number returned a message that the line is, quote, temporarily unavailable. No word yet if the same can be said for Mass Roots, the company. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again tomorrow morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our Twitter account at mjtodaydaily and visit our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. What's ET short for? Because he's got little legs. Thanks to our sponsor, MJ Today Media, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in and starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.